night, waking me up, taking this is our time. Just breathe, this will be a hard fight. The truth cash out in the night.
All right, here we are live. How's it going, Johnny?
It is going excellent. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing outstanding. Work has gotten better. I got some free time. Even guys at work are saying it looks like the captain's a lot happier. So,
Yeah, well, I would imagine working 7 days a week with doubles mixed in there has a way of making people grumpy. So it's a good thing you hired some folks.
yeah, it definitely made me grumpy and definitely made me, I wasn't tolerating a whole lot. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, but looking
Well,
in,
you can.
it looks like you have fantastic weather.
Oh, dude, it's beautiful out here, man. It's other than the mosquitoes, which I deal with, as soon as it starts getting warm, it's beautiful outside right now. So,
We are in a drought, so we have no mosquitoes whatsoever because we have no rain. There's no water, no nothing.
yeah, a drought in
Yeah.
Florida. What does that mean? You only got about a 3 feet
Well,
of groundwater instead of
no,
16 feet.
let's put it this way. I was watching the news last night, and you can walk across the Everglades.
Wow, that
You
is
can
a
walk
drought.
across it. It looks like one of those cracked deserts, you know, with canals that have been worn down from airboats. All those are the only things that have water in them, and that's probably only 1 or 2 feet.
It'd actually probably be a really good time to get out in the field right now and get to places that you can't normally get to. I bet that, God, that would make for some like really good opportunity to find tracks out there.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah,
Because it's dry and it's cracked. But what I can see on the news when you walk, it does sink down a little. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So you'd still probably wear rubber boots, but heck yeah, footprints and stuff like that would stick out big time. All
Yeah.
right, we got some people jumping in. We got Lenny's in there. We got Lenny,
All
Sharon,
right.
and there's Sunshine. Good to see her. Um, so we got some people coming on. So we got a really good show tonight. We got Dustin. We met him at the conference, and he has a lovely family. Him and his wife and his little daughter. And we had a couple opportunities to talk to them and get to know them at the conference. And um,
Yeah,
good, good people. Good people.
I made a video about this on my channel, but I was watching the presentations and they brought one guy up. They needed people to talk about their experiences, and they brought the first guy up. Um, Seemed like a nice guy, told his story, whatever, good to go. And Dustin came up, and I don't even know why I did it, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to record this guy talking. And I didn't have a tripod or anything, so I just set my phone up on the back of the chair. And dude, I'm glad I did. By the time he got done talking, um, when he got done, my daughter was there with us. And I leaned over my daughter and I said, I'll be right back. And I literally ran to chase him down and went to his booth. And, a lot of it had to do with he's kind of from the area that I grew up in, because I grew up in Bay County, Florida. So the stories that he had, along with, some of the evidence he had, I really wanted to talk to him, see what he had going on. And it really sounded like he had a really good spot and a very, very active spot. And you don't really find a lot of people that are getting a lot of good stuff on trail cameras. And he's got a few very interesting videos on his trail cameras, and he's setting them up and everything else. But I'll let him get into that. But anyway, I wanted to get him on the podcast, and also, hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe we can all get together and go out to his spot, if he feels like it or whatever. But I've been looking forward to this for a while. So if you want to bring him on.
All right, so we're gonna bring on Dustin. He's in Florida. He's up in the Panhandle, which is weird for me. If It's Florida, but it's a different time zone. So, hey, how's it going, Dustin?
Good. Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.
No
Glad we could
problem.
get you on. I've been excited about this one.
Right on.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good meeting you guys. You got a great family. You met your wife. We met your daughter. You know what I mean? And you didn't notice, this is the hat I bought from your stand.
I love it. Right on.
This is the hat. You
Oh,
know,
we're the same one today. That's funny.
well, I wore it because I knew you were coming on. I was like, I'm going to wear that shirt or that hat. And I'm
Nice.
wearing, if anybody noticed, this is Dirt Road Bigfoot's shirt he sent me. It has my name on it. Dirt Road Bigfoot. So he should be popping into the chat room at some point. So
Cool. So, Dustin, why don't you just start from the beginning, man, wherever you want. And, we don't have we got as long as you need.
Well,
So,
as you were saying, I was at the conference with you, and I had a booth, and I've had quite the experiences in the past with Bigfoot type creatures, and some people call them dog man. And there's probably a slight difference from the northern side of the country to the southern side to eastern, western. Anyways, whatever people want to call them, skunk apes or Sasquatch, Bigfoot, just unknown predators that are out there. I've had experiences with probably more than one different kind, and I hadn't planned on talking that day at the conference. It's been about 9 years since I wrote a couple books about the topic and got some trail camera footage. So it's back in 2015, and so it's 10 years, I reckon. And I just been holding the books, got busy working, and and at first I tried to promote what was going on, and I did go on a couple other YouTube channels that no longer are up, and we got lots of views back in the day then, I guess. And I don't know if you ever heard of the BDRP back in the day, Bigfoot Dogman Research Project. You guys ever seen any of that? All right. Yeah, it got taken down.
no.
Anyways, it was a pretty popular show on YouTube, and anyways, he showed all the footage I had right away, and I thought, well, I've showed it to the world the best I can, and I took it to Panama City News at News Channel 13 right away, and was like, look at all this stuff I found in the last year. And they did a news story, and they showed footage of what you've seen. I went up on stage that day unexpectedly, but I was sitting in the back, and I had my computer and footage of like my trail camera recordings. And it's a lot to break down at first because I got several, and it was a while ago, but I got a recording with a wild chase scene happening where some deer trigger the camera, and there's like 4 deer running, and the camera's triggered, and then an animal comes in from the side and tracks the last one down and tackles it into a bottom, and you can hear him go down like in the leaves, and there's a bigger animal running in the same chase then, and he's like on all fours. Animal gets tackled, he gets upright and walks through the bottom. And you hear a lot of stories like that where these animals go from running on all fours to walking bipedally real fast. And this really happened in front of my trail camera. And that's what basically got me to writing the story all out and documenting everything. So,
Well, go back and start from the very beginning. Why you even started putting trail cameras out to begin with?
So in 2009, I was out in the same spot, and I seen one of these animals. Basically, like with this backdrop I got, I was hunting in a tree stand looking this way, heard something coming. I stand up and looking over my shoulder. It's getting louder and louder. And then it goes behind me, walking really fast upright. And I mean, I seen it plain as day. And then it went up through the woods like farther and farther. And I could hear it for another minute, just crashing the brush and stuff. And I sat back down in my tree stand when I just saw Bigfoot, like totally unexpected, to see that. I was deer hunting, and I sat there for another.
Dustin, hold on one second, buddy. What do y'all have a TV on in the background or something?
I did not.
I got a small fan. Maybe that's it. Did that change?
Sounds like no, it just sounds like something moving around constantly.
I think that's better right there. I can hear that.
Could y'all hear that?
Yeah. So
I didn't hear anything yet. You guys are coming in really loud and clear.
it's clear now. Clear as a bell,
Yeah,
right,
that
Tony?
whatever you did stopped it. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
That's all right.
yeah.
I'll sweat.
So that was clear back in 2009, and you heard that story. I went on stage. I was sitting there at the booth at like 12:15, and that RPG come back and got me, and he said, because I met him the night before at the dinner, and showed him my footage, and he seen it, and he said, "Can you come up and speak? We got like 45 minutes, and these people have told their encounters. Nobody else is volunteering because it was, a local encounter time." And I was like, "Well, sure." And I went up on the stage. And I was walking up from the back, and I'm like, well, "Where do I start?" And he's like, "From the beginning," kind of like you said. And I was like, "Sure." So I went up there and started telling the story about where I'd been going hunting, and it's a Florida River Island, right west of the Florida River campground, and it's just on the east side of the Apalachicola River. And I'm telling you what, this place is a jungle, and it's got a lot of these predators in there. And maybe it's just the exact specific area I kept going to that had a lot of them, because every time I went out there, it was like lots of like crazy different encounters with them roaring at me at first, to them like
Well, go
breaking
ahead
tree
and
branches
just
down.
walk us in, just like you told the story the other day
Yeah.
at the conference. Just start from there and go through all that.
All right. So I went out there one time with my buddy. He introduced me to the area, and it was in January of 2009. And we went out there, and we both did a big loop through the woods and back around to the access road. We went all the way into the back of it, and then I found buck rubs, and I said, big buck rubs. I seen where you recorded me and put it on your channel, and somebody was like, "Oh, there ain't no big bucks in Florida," but they were rubs on big trees. So they were
Right.
big trees that were rubbed
Oh
by
yeah,
bucks.
somebody that was
That
that was just a joke. Somebody said.
sure. But no, there is big bucks in Florida, even though the majority of the deer may be smaller than like northern deer and stuff. They do grow
Right.
and get older and get 250 pounds. And there's big giant bucks that go over 200.
Everybody thinks they've got the best bucks.
There's big bucks everywhere. But
Oh, yeah.
anyways, these trees were like bigger than my thighs, and they were rubbed up. So I'm like, I'm going hunting in there because there's a mature buck. I don't know how big it is. I ain't seen the buck, but the buck rubs are big. All right. So I was like, I'm in there. I went back by myself, and it was like on a Wednesday, and I parked at the end of the access road, and I walked backwards down the road back, and then I cut in and cut across the Florida River head, basically, that comes out of the Apalachicola River. I mean, you have to look at it on a map to see what I mean, but Florida River comes down, and then there's a branch that comes out of the Apalachicola River and meets it, and then it flows all the way back down and back into the Apalachicola River. So there's an island. It's right there, and I walked across the tree that fell over, crossed it, and got it back across where I was, climbed up a tree, sat down.
Like that. Hey man, I don't know what happened.
That's
So I'm
all
waiting
good.
for Kelly to come back on.
Yeah.
That was weird. It just everything just went haywire, and I don't know what it was. There he is.
We was just talking about the actual hunt I was on one day when I seen one of these animals, and I was up in the tree calling, and a deer come from behind me and it actually waded down across through the water chest deep, come up under my stand, walked down through the oaks, and I didn't shoot it. It was like a yearling deer, it was a spike, and I was waiting on a bigger one. And then it was about 20-30 minutes later, I heard some stuff crashing, like sticks cracking. I'm like, here comes something bigger, I'm thinking. And it kept coming and coming, but it got louder and louder. And I was like, what the heck is this? And I remember standing up, looking over my shoulder. And this is funny how we got this backdrop. Well, I didn't plan that out, but the thing was coming from this way and walking this way.
Is going on.
And I stood up and looked, and it went real fast through a clearing like that, and then like grabbed a tree branch and pulled itself across like a little ravine. It was gone. And then I couldn't see it, and I looked this way, and I could just hear it for like a minute. It was big enough where it was just crushing through the sticks and leaves. It was going somewhere it had intended in mind, like back to this peninsula, I think, in the river. Like it's a huge river bend. It's like this big. I think that's where it was going. there's a lot of wildlife back there, but it was just like on a mission and gone. And then it was almost dark by the time I couldn't hear it. And I sat down. I'm like, I just saw Bigfoot. You know, I'm telling myself this. And I'm like, I never thought to see Bigfoot out here. I thought I was going to get a deer, and this is weird. But then I started like almost like freaking out a little bit. And I climbed down and got my stand packed together. And like, I got to get across this log. Normally, I'd wait till dark and use my light. But I was like, nah, I'm going now. Getting across this log is what I said. But it was probably this creature freaked me out. But I thought, yeah, I got to get across there so I don't fall in the dark. And I got over there, and then it was dark where it went through. And I was back on the other side of the riverhead. And then I got a little bit panicked. It occurred to me that this thing went through walking really fast, but I thought maybe it'll come back running. It's all dark and I can't see, so I got my lights out, and then it started shining my light and basically like trotting to my truck. Got all the way to the truck, and I'll never forget, I like got in and locked the doors, which didn't really do any much better. You know, I was in the truck, but
Yeah.
I just felt secure. I locked the doors and started driving out right away, looking for other vehicles, because I thought maybe there's somebody back here, you know, messing with me, some big guys, I don't know. And no, there was absolutely no other vehicles in there at all, period. I drove out and I had this eerie feeling, and I told my brother and my dad about it because we'd share hunting stories. They're in Pennsylvania, and I was like, yeah, I just saw this thing, and it was going through the woods upright, and it was hairy and big. Yeah, it's Bigfoot. And I'm like, yeah. So I tried to look for it for like 5 years. I really did. And
Can you before you get further into your story, can you give a, I don't know how good of a look you got of it, but can you give a, you know, as good of a detailed description as you can of what exactly you saw?
it's funny. And my friend said that in Florida, like the same thing right away. And I remember sitting there and like drawing a picture from my memory and had it. And then he hung it up in his Bronco, and I was like, all right, this is what we're looking for, you know, just, but serious, but, you know, serious and joking at the same time.
Hey, that's a good friend.
And I'm not even joking though, but you look at this and it was a lot like that. I'm not even joking. I mean, really, it was just a big creature with a big head, dome like that, walking upright, fast like that. And from about 50 yards to 60 yards down through the woods. Yes, that's the shape it was in.
Right. So you couldn't, it just wasn't good enough to see color or anything, right?
Not right there then and no, but
Yeah.
I just knew it was a big beast, and nobody could walk through the woods like that. Like
Right.
you couldn't have followed it like that. I mean, you could like track it, but it'd be like this. He's going like this, and you're like, oh, he was here. You see where he went through here, and this thing's gone.
Right.
It was probably walking like 10 mile an hour at least. Like, just you could tell it wasn't really trying, but it was moving. And just the sound of it, like you walking through the woods yourself, you're like a little trying not to break sticks, like walking. This thing was like coming through the woods, like it sounded like something was driving like a moped through the woods. Like, what the heck? And it got louder and louder. Like it really wasn't. It couldn't be quiet the way it was going.
Right.
But then I told my friends about it, and most of my friends like said I seen anything else but what I was telling them, like an ostrich, one person said, and I'm like, wow, like I know what a bird looks like, and it wasn't that, you know. So okay, you know, and it just went on for a while to where I was like finding signs in the woods, like stick signs and stuff, and filming like the stick signs with my phone that were not natural. And I started following like stick signs around that were like in line, and I would find like trails that were off the main trail, but they had sticks along the main trail through the woods. And then I would find more intricate structures where like big trees were broken, and then you could see where they were like, here's a big tree, and this branch or tree was broken and like put up and into place, and another one from this way and into place, and then it was scarred below where it was like slid up and into place and locked in, like it didn't fall and make a scar like this way, but like there's scar in the trees going up and into place. And I filmed stuff like that, and then started finding footprints and mashed down areas, and then like raccoons and stuff that were right beside these structures that were like skinned in a sense and eaten, like their hides were turned inside out back to their knees, and then like the front shoulders and stuff would be missing, and they like ate it, but yet the hide was all intact, but inside out, and then stuck at its tail and knees. I found several coons like that, and
Man, that's funny you say that, because I found in a gifting area that I found half of a squirrel just like that in the same area. So that's pretty interesting.
yeah, these things have the intelligence to where, and the thumbs where they're not gonna just kill something and snatch it and just start eating into it, like a bear or a coyote would. They're like smart enough to not eat through the hair. It's not going to do them any good, or they don't want it stuck in their teeth or their throat, whatever. And they peel the skin off and eat them for sure. A deer and everything, 100%. And they make little weapons and stuff. Like, I could show you some. We look around the tree dens and you'd find a tree break. So a tree gets broken and it might have a sharp point then because it was broken. And then they would take and break it again out, and it'd make a sharp point on the other side. I got these right here. Like, here's a small one. And so it's got a sharp point on both sides then, and it's flat. And I believe so then they could run with it on their hands like this, and the flat side would go down, and they could carry it. And either way, if they catch something, I don't know what else, but they could paralyze it if they just stuck them in the spine and they're not getting kicked by the sharp hooves and stuff. We found several of them. This is a bigger one here. Let's see if I can back up. But see how it's real sharp? This part was in the mud, and it was leaned against the tree outside the tree den structure. There's still a little mud on that end where we found it. But you could carry it in your hand like that if you're running on all fours like 35 mile an hour to catch a deer. And when you jump on it, you could stick it and paralyze it. That's my theory. But we definitely find a lot of that. Now, here, dogs, them dogs are always a cue at night when these animals will come around because they sense that electromagnetic energy.
100%.
And I definitely hear the ones that growl in your video and then growl and like stomp at the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they sound just like the ones that would come around my camera one time when I first got a recording where you could hear them. And they're like, "Rrr, rrr," and I don't know. We've had my dog up in Illinois. New one was out there one night when I went to take it out to walk it, to use the bathroom. And one broke a tree, and I heard it snap the tree. Except I thought it was during the rut in Illinois in like November, and I thought like this deer were running through the woods and they cracked the stick. And it wasn't until the next morning I brought my dog back in because it was like the shotgun weekend. And I didn't want the deer all running around like crazy. But then I seen the tree break, and then they put another tree in like this. And we went down there with a different dog, and he went under there and started going crazy and grabbing the trees where the animal was under there because it was all mashed down. They could smell it then too, even. We're pulling on it. And I'm like, man, that thing was out here. And my dog was telling me, but it was like bearing down, wanted me to let it go. And it would run deer. So I'm like, she ain't going to be coming back tonight if I let her go now. So I just put her back inside. And she didn't want to calm down, but it was out there that night. And that was along the Wabash River. And
Is that an area you were doing research in, or just?
My family lives right there, River Road on the Wabash River, right on the border of Indiana, Illinois, like the Lincoln Trail. And like the same things are right there too. I've seen it there too. And when you see it, it's weird. Like when I seen it in Illinois, on the far side of this like field, through a fence line in a backfield before dark, it was running across the field, and it was stretched out like this big long black thing that was like looked like it was 8 foot long, but it was running at just a speed where it looked like a horizontal black streak. And then it was like, there it is, look at that. And I told my uncle, and we're coming around the corner, and he looked in the first field, and I'm like, no, through the tree line in the back. And I'm like, oh, it's gone. Like 4 seconds, it's out of the field. I'm like, that's that. I mean, what else runs like that big? Like it looks this long going across the field. Yeah, but that's what it was.
Now, did that happen? Is that before all the stuff in Florida or after?
That was after. I mean, that was, if I were to guess, somewhere around, that was like 2017 or so. Because then I remember sitting there and then writing more and writing a follow-up story to like my first account. And then 2018, I got that published, and that happened about 2017, 16, somewhere in there. Yeah, where I seen that, but it's just one of them things. Then my wife's like, "Oh, I want to see it," and then so she starts remembering accounts from her childhood when living there and growing up. And like, she said, one time this thing that looked like a big wolf ran across the road in front of us by this Lake Lawrence. And it's just me and my mom, and it ran across the road, and it was like half the size of the road when it was gone. I'm like, "Yeah, is there any big giant black wolves around here?" Well, no. I'm like, "Well, that's what you just saw, one of these things that then." And then she says she remembered another time at her dad's and looking down the lane and seeing this thing like a bear running down the lane and cut in the woods by the creek. And she thought a bear, being a kid, had got away from the circus or something. And there was a bear. There ain't no bears around there either. I'm like, no, you saw one of these things then too as a kid running when no one was around and cut into the woods, because that's what they look like. They usually get around on all fours. They have a tendency to get upright. From what I've seen in the South and midway through the states, but I don't think they're always walking around upright. Like I seen the one day traveling upright, but definitely if they're stalking prey or hunting, they're on all fours. Or I believe hiding, they're on all fours, crawling
I
around.
think they spend the mass majority of their time on all fours.
100%. Yep.
Now,
But
what
I think
about
that's with concealment. If you're always on fours, you're hiding a lot.
Yeah. They definitely, and they'll break the trees down and then make their own little shelter real quick, and they're crawling under there. Or there's natural tree falls, they're going to use that too. Or if it's just thick brush, they're going to use that.
now tell what the story about your buddy with the where you took him back there? He only went back there with you one time.
Yeah, that's my buddy James.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
tell him
work with
about
him to
that.
this
That
day.
was
He went out there to check a camera I set, and this is where I first got an audio recording. And he went with me, and the river had been flooded. We found this spot to set the camera. Like if people have seen my story on stage where you posted it, they'll know what I'm talking about, but I know everybody hasn't. So we went back there in a flood, me and my other buddy, a week and a half prior, hunting deer, and we waited all the way out there because the access roads were flooded and the gate was closed at the campground. But we just walked in because we were trying to get a deer. And we found way back in the actual Florida River Trail, it's the outer loop. If anybody wants to go find it, search it out. It's almost all growed over and stuff. Hurricane Michael kind of like flattened it out. Like all the trees have been pushed all over the place, but it's still the same spot. It's still going to be the same high ground. And it's probably still grass growing in there. But we went in there in the flood and got on the ground and found a spot where they'd pushed a tree down like that night before we'd been there, and ripped a bunch of branches out of it and chewed on them and like chewed on the branches in the tree. And there was like 10, 15 branches on each side of the tree, like broken out, snapped out. And so there's probably more than one of them just like messing with this tree, whatever they were doing. And I went back the next morning by myself and set a trail camera in the trailway because there's a big stick marker in the trailway too, and started to climb a tree. The second day I went back, I took a boat through the woods and went like 2.5 miles with my John boat all the way up around, so I didn't have to wait all day long and get wet, and come in the backside and got in there, set a camera on a tree, filming the trailway. It was facing to the north. And I was going to climb a tree, and this thing roared at me in the woods. It was just like really loud and like mad sounding. And pretty much I believe it was roaring at me. And I didn't even climb the tree then. I just stood there for a long time and thought, I need to get out of here. And before that too, I guess I forgot to mention, I did look for hair. My brother said he's the one who even told me to look for hair. And I was like, how am I going to find hair out in the woods? But I started grabbing branches that next morning, and I could see them all because they were like discolored. They started to change like yellow. And I looked at a couple, and there's a hair stuck in like a tooth mark where one bit it. So it must have come out of like the corner of the mouth. I still got it to this day in a lockbox, but it's just one of them things that, I can't afford to have it DNA profiled or nothing, but I just keep it. It's part of the story. Took pictures of it and everything and whatever. And, I couldn't even climb the tree and hunt after this thing roared at me, though. I had to stick in my John boat, and I thought I need to get out of here. It was quite the adventure getting up in there, and I got out of there after dark, anyways. And there was a lot of like logs and stuff. I had to pull my boat over and get out and do all that. But it was a week and a half later that I went with my friend James that you were just asking me about. And I told him we were going to look around. The river started to fall back a little bit. And I told him we'd look for some more tracks, check the camera. And he has never been out there. He just started hunting this last year some. But at the time, he never had been hunting or nothing. He just went out there to walk with me and look at this stuff because he was kind of a skeptic, but he's a funny guy, and he just wanted to go out in the woods. And when we were out there, before we went out there, I showed him pictures of sticks in the ground, told him to look for stuff like this, and he agreed. Like, this one stick's like one of these sticks you're saying is like a trail marker, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, all right, I see that. And I went to walk to where we were going. He's over there, turned around, he's peeing on the stick. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, we'll see how they like that. And I'm like, yeah, all right, okay. So we go down in along the edge of where this riverhead was, and we're looking at tracks and stuff. It's about 15 minutes later, and I heard this stick. Like, I heard it, I think, first because I started to turn my head, and I heard, like, because it was like foo 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 sounding like that. And I seen it, and I like turned, and it hit in the mud and splashed me, and he was behind me, and it splashed him like on both sides, the back of his legs with mud. And I'm like, damn, something just threw the woods at us. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, that was right up there where you just pissed on that stick. And he said, yeah. And I was like, you want to go back up there and look around? He's like, no, you said we're going that way. He's like, let's go, keep going. I'm like, all right, we'll keep going. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's go. We got to check that camera. And we checked the camera. And then when I got home, I mean, we checked it, but I couldn't check it like and see what. I just switched the card out. And then we got all the way out of there, went home, and he had to go get his young son. I think it was like 2 at the time. And I listened to the footage, and I could just hear grumbling and stuff. I couldn't make it out. But then I played it on a loudspeaker, and I could hear the whole thing. There was like more than one animal, like growling and grunting and knocking the trees and stuff. It's a 1.5-minute recording. You can hear them the whole time. And they literally, I 100% believe, hit the camera because I put it on the tree, strapped down like this. And when I went over there to check it, the camera was like this. And I'm like, well, I know I said it straight. And there was only one recording on the SD card. So when it moved, it started filming because that was the motion, and nothing went in front of it. And, something else might have went in front of it, but it was never set off for the whole week and a half. The sensor was kind of weak, in my opinion, because sometimes I'd walk up to it and it wouldn't trigger. It wouldn't trigger for like 10 or 15 seconds, probably me being in front of it. It was an old stealth cam. It was a 2007 model, and this was 2015. And anyways, whatever happened, the animals are at the camera and you can hear them, but you can't see them, and you can hear them breathing, and you can hear them growling, and you can hear them walking, and you can hear them cracking sticks, and you can hear there's more than one because one is farther away and one's closer and you hear a loud like whack, like a loud tree knock, and there's one at the camera, and he's still like and they're like communicating towards the end of the video. So I played that for my friend then, and he never wanted to go back out there with me. Still hasn't, but we talk about it a lot. So we still work. We had went our ways, this and that. We got married, me and my wife, and he was in the wedding. And now we work together again for this seafood company, Panhandle City Beach. But we talk about it still. He'd probably go back out there again after talking about it again once he sees this, just to kind of follow up, But at the same time, but when we went to leave the woods, this is what he said, though, too. We got in a boat to leave after I switched the cards out, and he yelled in the woods, "It's better to be pissed off than pissed on." I was like, what's your point? He's like, I don't know. Let's go. He says,
Making that thing. He got real brave at the end there, didn't he?
yeah, he just likes to talk, and he's not. I don't. He's a funny guy.
Yeah, he sounds funny.
He did stand up
Well,
one time, and he got a standing ovation. He's pretty funny, but
Really?
he's a good guy.
his name is James.
Yeah,
Well, if
James.
James is watching this show, we're gonna tell him, James, get out in the woods with Dustin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He'll say, "Let's go." All right, let's go back. He'll get serious again.
Well, while we're talking about it, I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm going down to see my dad on June the 2nd, and I got a week off. So if you got some free time the week of June,
I know we
the
need to
2nd,
get together. I told you we'll plan it out. I want to go back out there to the same trail area and get in the woods right in the same area and set cameras. And June the 2nd, my father-in-law's coming down. He's bringing his tri-tube, wants to go fishing, and but we need to plan it out and get some cameras and go out there with like at least 6 cameras, if not 8. At least I want to do like at least 2 sets, and we want at least 3 to 4 cameras per set when I go back. This is what my plan is. And and have 2 sets like maybe 100 yards apart, but like try to film 360 in the woods and from one location, because they're gonna try.
have you seen the 360 trail cameras?
I have, yeah. Where you set it up and it films like this in the open. That's a good idea. I like that too.
I bought one, and I was a little disappointed only because I wanted video, and it does do video, but it
weird thing.
You only get so many per month. Like you pay, I think it's like $20 a month.
Right. I've never had a subscription like that with a satellite camera myself.
Yeah, so that was the only downside to it. So you may be better off with what you're doing.
And the only thing I want to film is video too. I don't want to set just to get pictures, because there's so much more information from a video than a picture. And if you could have had it on video and the thing comes by, I'd rather have a video in a sense.
Exactly. That's the first thing everybody asks is, well, if you can take a picture, why didn't you take a video? So that's
true. But no, I want to go out there. We got to get together. We'll go right to the same spot. I went like a couple times last year for the first time in a while with my one buddy. We went, set some cameras. We were a little bit short of like how far I wanted to go in. It's not really that far in there, but the trees and the trails are so different from Hurricane Michael that like I don't have the same GPS. I don't know what I got to do. I got to call Garmin and get it updated or something. That's not really that important, because I know exactly where I went there so much over a couple year period. It's not that far in, and all I got to do is look like on my own phone, and I can see the waterhead that I want to go to, and in between that and the roadway, and it's along that waterhead, and I know right where the trail is when you go in there. But we didn't quite make it because the water was a little high, and me and my buddy set cameras in a different spot. Then we went back and checked them one time. We had a couple deer. And then the next time we went back, we just pulled them out, and we had a couple deer and hogs, and we didn't, do as good as I like to just normally. And I'm really wanting to go back in there. One of my friends told me, because every time I'd go out there and check cameras, even if it was 2 months apart, and I'd bring a new camera and set it at that location, I was putting like one camera here, one camera back a little bit farther, one back a little bit farther, and then like they would come through and track me like every time I left. And when I was out there checking the cameras in the middle of the day, even they would like tear branches out of the trees, and they would like get mad and slam branches down the riverhead and then like storm off and stuff. It was getting a little hectic. And to tell you the truth, one of my friends is elder in my family said, why don't you just pull all your cameras out of there, give it a break for a while, which is now, and then go back and set them like you're talking about, setting them together. And that's what I plan on doing. I think we'll do really good right away. We're going to get footage of wildlife, a lot of wildlife. I know that.
Yeah.
Me and my buddy went out to check them though last year. Like I told you, the one time I was walking up ahead of them, and there's a lot of undergrowth that's growing over these trees. Like vines just grew over all the down big trees and stuff. and something took off up ahead of us, and I seen it. It went like this and like pushed a branch out of the way and was ducked over, and it was running like a monkey. And he seen the trees going. I was like, "There's one." He's like, "That was probably it right there, wasn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah," but it was like just that quick, and then it was gone, and it was like, man. But a lot of times when I got there, check the cameras, that would happen, and they would run through this one bottom, and there was like PVC pipes that would have measure markings on it to measure the river level and stuff. And I have them run through there when it was down and like whack the pipe real loud when they're running. I'd go in and around, they'd run out, hit the pipe, and like alert the other ones, take off. Crazy stuff like that would happen a lot.
Yeah.
But no, June
Richard, can you
2nd,
mute your mic for a second and see if it's doing the same thing?
That's clear, huh?
Yeah, that's what it was. You're still getting a bunch of feedback like the whole time he's talking. I don't know what's going on.
But
Anyway, what?
It's not doing it now, right?
no,
No, it's off. Is it your fan? Man.
Yeah, I put it all the way low.
Need to just hire one of those dudes that can stand next to you with one of those big leaves.
No, the problem is that the AC's on, but I'm so far from the AC. By the time the air gets through the vents into my area, it's warmer. You know what I mean? It's like a 10-degree difference from this room and the rest of the house. So usually when I'm in this room, I run a fan.
Yeah, Dustin, what about the video? And I tried to again. If you've got the originals, I would love to see the originals so I can pull them up and go through, one frame at a time. One of the ones I really found interesting is the trail cam video of what looks like the head of one army crawling coming up.
Yeah.
And then it kind of goes back. Can you tell the story
backwards.
about that?
Yeah. So I can't remember exactly what year that was, but it was up the river from the Florida River spot, and it was north of Bluntstown, and on our friend of our family's property, Longleaf Pine Plantation, and we went out there in the spring, and I set 4 cameras at once behind the corner of this food plot that's right along the Apalachicola River. I went back in from the corner of it because that's where the game trails went in, and I picked a spot and I filmed like to the west, east, south, north, let it sit, went back like 5 weeks later and checked it, and we had some deer and turkeys and hogs. And then the one night a hog was walking away from the camera facing to the west. 10 minutes later, this thing was stalking it, come through the woods, crawling, and literally it was like crawling up through the woods, and the camera shining on its back when it set off, and it like spooked it, and it had this opposition type reflex where it crawled backwards, whether it sensed the electromagnetic energy get stronger when it turned on or the infrared turn on, and start filming it, and it crawled backwards and then ducked out to the right of the video and laid down flat on its belly, and it was behind a palmetto, and then you could just barely see it like breathing a little bit, and the video cuts out, and then it never filmed it again. It must have crawled out and around. But yeah, that was right on the west side of the Apalachicola River, and we went into a new area and set 4 cameras in the same spot at once, started filming, and it was crawling through the woods trying to get a pig at night, and it looks like a young gorilla. I don't know.
Yeah, I see a lot of videos, and a lot of them are like, and I saw that one. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting,
And that is actually directly across the river from Torreya State Park on the map, if whoever's listening wants to know the area. And then the first spot's way down the river south of there. Torreya State Park's on the east side of the Apalachicola River, and if you were to go south of another 20 miles south of Bristol, that's where Florida River Campground is, Florida River Island. But that whole area, that whole stretch of river from like south of the Florida River Island and all the way up through there is just like crazy, full of these creatures. Like you have encounters all the time. You go out there at night, it's pretty scary. And I don't know. I don't really think it's that safe to even go out there at night and do investigations and stuff. By yourself, not at all. Group of people, it's hard to say whatever might really happen. And there's another park just north of Bristol. It's called the Garden of Eden State or Trails. It's not a state trail. It's just a preserve, Garden of Eden Nature Preserve. If you walk in on that trail, it's wild. It goes into like the biggest bluffs in Florida on the Apalachicola River. It's like 140-foot bluffs, maybe 150-foot some places. And when you're walking
I didn't even know that existed in Florida.
when you're walking in there, it's pretty wild. You're walking on a trail and you're going along these ridges, and it's like there's these big craters. Like I don't know how to even compare it to anything, but it's like asteroids come and hit around there and made these big craters and made the ground come up around it or something. And like, so when you're walking in on this trail, there's big mature trees down in the bottom, and you can't even see all the way down the bottom. But you're walking in, and you're like at the tops of these magnolia trees where they're blooming and stuff, and you can't even see the bases of them. You're walking around the tops of them, and it's like one of the most perfect Bigfoot Sasquatch area there is. And even myself, I've never even tried to go down in and try to explore, but if there was any type of underground caves or something, you'd think it'd be in the bottoms of those. But
Yeah.
they could run up and down them hills easy and just go down there and hide. And there's nobody like going down in there and stuff. But it's a big nature preserve. And that's just, literally like 2 miles north of Bristol on the Apalachicola River. And that's south of Torreya State Park, 10 miles or something like that. But it's another neat spot, really neat spot to hike into the river. And then you're standing there on the river when you get there, and you're like way up on these big bluffs, and then you look across to the west side, and it's like this big giant bottom, and it's like you can see forever. It's pretty neat.
That sounds really nice.
You know what?
Just to go in, minus the Bigfoot. Sounds like a beautiful spot.
It is. It's the Garden of Eden Trails. I'm gonna pull it up here and see if you can see this on my phone. I got a picture. So like on my YouTube, my background picture, me and my wife went in there. Was doing some investigating that. You can't even really see it that good. I don't know.
Now, was your wife thinking about all this? You said she goes with you?
Sometimes she used to more. So at first, she never did. I'll just tell her I'm going looking for this thing. I'm going hunting and set cameras for this. And she believed it until like I got some footage like where they're chasing a deer down. Even I remember her seeing that at first. Well, that can't be Bigfoot. It looks so small. And I'm like, and then the neighbor kid come over and looked at it. And he's like, but that's Bigfoot chasing the deer back there. I'm like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's really far away from the camera, So, and then she looked at it again, and then we zoomed in and had, this guy from News Channel 13 actually do a breakdown and tracking circles and zoom in, and then she could see it. And once that happened, she's like, I got to go with you. I'm like, oh yeah. She said, yeah, somebody's got to protect you. And I'm like, protect me? I'm gonna have to protect you now. And then she's like, well, I don't want you to go by yourself no more. I'm like, I've been going by myself this whole time. Sometimes my friends go with me. Oh man. The first time she went out there, we go out in the woods and we take handguns with us, and we usually take a rifle. We shoot hogs and stuff. We see them. And I'm checking the camera, and I was carrying a rifle. And we each had a 357 revolver just for whatever. You never know, boars, snakes. And I was like, here, you hold the 3-06. This is when stuff usually happens back in here. And I'll check the batteries and change the card. And usually when I turn towards the camera, they start going crazy. So many times I went home and told her they were like tearing a branch out of the trees again while I was checking the camera. And then it started happening. I started checking the camera, and bugs are going crazy. And I'm like, and I hear snap. She's like, Dustin, you hear this? I'm like, yeah, they're over there behind you. Keep watching that one. I'm almost done. Oh, they're running now. She's like, get up. And I stood up. I turned around. I'm like, yeah, they're running down through the woods that way. They sound like horses. I'm like, yeah, they do. That's what she told me. And I'm like, we got to go down this way and go check the other camera. We're going to go check another camera. No, we're going to get out of here. She told me. I'm like, well, no, they all went that way. We're going to go over here because we're an hour and a half out here. Drove out here. And I was like, we're walked out here. We're going to go check the other camera and then we're going to walk out. And she's like, oh, then she's like, I can't believe that happened. I'm like, I told you that happens and that's what happens. And she's like, huh. So then come about another month and a half. She's like, I'm going to go check the camera. So I'm going to go with you. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're going to go with me again? She's like, yeah. All right. We get out there and she's like, all right, I'm staying in the vehicle. I know where you're going. And you go in and you come out. It's only going to take like an hour, right? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, I know where you're at. If something happens, you don't come out in an hour, I'm going to call somebody. Oh, my goodness. So then she was going with me to sit in the truck. Yes, yeah. But actually, and she wanted to see one for herself for the longest time. And I told you stories, and she told me stories from her childhood. I'm like, you probably have seen it, you know, from these stories you told me. Like, you thought you seen a black wolf, and you thought you seen a bear from the circus going down the lane. I'm like, they're not out here. Anyways, I was like, you're probably gonna see one day, and you're gonna wish you didn't, and you're gonna be scared. Well, how come I never see it? We'll be driving home from work at like 11 o'clock at night. Why don't we ever see one on the side of the road? I'm like, I don't know. They're smart. They don't want to come out here beside the road. I was like, even the deer here in Florida, they come out beside the road and they just eat grass and they don't even get hit. Like, it's like the deer up north, they just run across and get smashed. And I was like, so they're smart. They're not coming out. And
They get smashed in Georgia too.
yeah, when they start running, they do. I mean, a few get hit in Florida, but it seems like the Florida deer are smarter by the road. They want that little bit of grass.
Yeah,
Well, the ones that live near my house are not, because apparently they like to jump in front of my vehicle specifically. So
Oh, yeah.
that's why I say it. They like to run out in traffic in Georgia.
yeah,
I'll tell you what, though, she seen one night then after all this. We were out back right here. This is Southport. It's Bay County, north of Panama City. And it goes back behind like the north part of the airport where we're at right here. And it's a big wilderness area. She went out there one night after I already went to bed. It was like, she was out there like 2 a.m. And so this was before Willow was born. My baby's 4. So it was about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Then she said she's going to smoke a cigarette, go to bed or something. I don't know. And her uncle's camper was over there. And I'll tell you, one thing happened about a week before this that was weird. We had our grill out there in the backyard and was cooking deer meat and stuff. And I would put the grill cover back over it, you know. And one day I got up and the grill cover was inside out, laying over like 10 yards from the grill. And it was like in a spot where the wind couldn't even get to it. I'm like, what the heck happened here? Who took the grill cover off or whatever? And I flipped it back around and put it on the grill, and it looked like this giant handprint was right in the middle of it. And like there was like 5 different marks where it like kind of tore the black plastic of it to like the cotton part. And it's like something just pulled it straight up and pulled it out. So it either was smelling the deer meat we'd been cooking, or my sister had just had a bunch of baby kittens and they were running around. And this thing was sitting there and she was looking out the back porch, and it got up, and there was like another neighbor down the lane at the cul-de-sac that's got this big floodlight, and it got up, and she said it just started like blacking out the floodlight and making a silhouette. And she said it was like 8 foot tall, big, huge beast just walking straight out the back of the property towards the wilderness. It was gone. And she come in and started like freaking out, grabbing her handgun. And I was like, grab this Judge. It's already loaded. What is it? And I went out the back, and she said we had this little dog, and he went running after it. And I was like, I went out the back with this Judge, and then with the 45 long Colts just to look, and the dog and the cat come running straight under the porch like a missile. I go look, didn't see nothing. Shine a light, didn't see nothing. I'm like, that's gone. Ain't nothing out here, you know. And she's like, oh. And I was like, I'm gonna go back to bed. It's like almost 3 a.m. And she's like, how can you go back to bed? And I was really panicked. I'm like, I guess I can't. I don't know. She said, this thing was just there. And I'm like, all right. She couldn't sleep. So then first thing in the morning, I went over there and looked right in the fence line between our neighbors and ours property where there's some pine trees that go out the back. There was like 14.5-inch tracks in the sand, few feet apart. We got a few of them. I was like, all right. Took pictures, measured it. I'm like, it went right through there where you said it did. And then the kids across the street come over later that day, and they go around. There's a sand pit back there, and they would ride their buggies and four wheelers, and they come over because they knew the whole story with our trail camera footage and stuff, and look at it. They're like, "There's Bigfoot tracks like going out the back. We just saw it." And we're like, "We just saw some too. They're right here. It was right here. Juanita saw it." And they're like, "What? You saw it? We see the tracks going out the back." We went out and looked. They showed us the same trackway. And we're like, "What the heck?" And then it freaked her out, scared her real bad. Then we were working at Runaway Island on Panhandle City Beach. She started telling coworkers about it. They're like, "Oh yeah, so now you're just like Dustin. Now you're seeing stuff." And I'm like, "I told you this would happen." She's like, "Why don't they believe me? I seen it." I'm like, "I don't know. People just ain't gonna believe it like right away. I don't know. I told you." And then she was like, "No, but it was really scary." Like, she started having nightmares about it. She still has nightmares about it, like it's gonna come through the walls or tear the door off, And I'm like, "No, we're protected. I mean, we pray to God. It doesn't mess with us like that. It fears us. Like, I believe that the fear of God is in it through us, because of what we believe." But she honestly was offset by it. And then it was a few years. He's like, "Why don't I ever see one?" And I was like, "I told you see it, and then you're gonna wish you didn't." But she still tells the story, but it's still, I don't know. I gave her a whole different thing of it. Like, man, she wanted me to just stop going out hunting after. It's not worth it. We know it's real. People aren't going to believe you, or if they want to believe you, then they can. It's okay. We don't have to know anymore. I'm like, well, I mean, I always want to see more better, clear footage and stuff personally, but yeah. You know how it
Sounds
goes.
like you've had a run with all this stuff. What about
Oh yeah,
the footage your brother got that you sent?
that's pretty wild. That's
Well,
clear in the
tell us
day.
about that.
Yeah, it's always like he's always like, "Yeah, you got it on your trail camera, but I got it clear in the day. This is clear." And I'm like, always like, "Well, why don't you show everyone?" He did try to show everyone, and he'd always tell me, "Why don't you get better footage?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me just make them go in front of my camera." You know what I mean?
Right.
And of course, I want to get better footage too. And he actually had people ridicule him a little bit. He just didn't want to hear it, so he put it up, and I was like, told the BFRO about it, and they took a copy and never got back to him. And he had people tell him like, "Oh, that's just somebody out there on a scuba expedition. You got a diver on video. You think you got Bigfoot, And it's like, it doesn't look like a diver. It doesn't have looks just like Sasquatch. Looks just like Bigfoot. All right. So he just actually, like my wife was saying, just as I was telling you a second ago, was like okay with knowing it was real and not having to tell anybody,
Yeah.
So then I went to the conference, and he went and seen all the stuff. Still didn't want to tell anybody. He almost went and told his story, but he doesn't like to speak in front of people like that. And he'll get a
Was
little
that
nervous.
who was with you at the booth? Was that your
Yeah.
brother? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was like, actually enjoying the whole thing. He's like, "You know what? Everybody seemed awesome afterwards." He's like, "I want to dig that out. Let's pull it out." I'm like, "All right, well, let's film it some so we can share it with people with my phone." I filmed the screen, and he don't care. And he said, "You know what? Whatever you want to do with it, show it to everybody. I think everybody needs to see it." Because he's like, "I always told you it was clearer than any." We'd watch shows all the time. He's like, "My footage is clearer than that." I'm like, "Yeah." I know. Nobody wants to see it, but they do want to
Yeah.
see it. But I'll just mess with him like he would think, like they don't want to see it. But he only tried to show it to the BFRO, and whatever it was, I tried to tell him like their show, I think had non-disclosure agreements. They just were going to keep it going. They weren't going to show like anything that was going to be the best of the best footage. And I think once that found out, Bobo said something about that one day on talk show, then I think that was it. And they just quit. But BFRO ain't the world, and it's just one research organization. Towards.
Well, look, man. There's him and I both have channels besides this. This is just the podcast we do together. But if you can get the original from your brother,
Yeah, we can get the
and
original.
send it to me.
So it's
I'll,
like it's a DVD. It's like 20 minutes, like home video. You know, and like he's at the falls, he's filming below it where the boat's coming up to the falls. And then he's filming his nephews at the falls, looking over the falls, and he's like filming some ducks and geese. And it's an old video, but he had a brand new camera. It was like 2003 camera, and he was zooming in and out, just checking it out. And that was it. And then like 3 years later, he was putting together home video footage, and he's seen it going through the background on the island. I was like, what the heck was that? What the heck is that? And then he's like, wow, that's just Bigfoot. And pretty much anybody he showed. So they would say it was like anything else, you know, like I said, like scuba divers and the number one thing he always said,
what time of the year was it?
you know, 100%. I'm not sure, but I think like, you know,
Was
summer,
it hot
late
or cold
spring,
outside?
late spring or summer. It was not cold. No,
Yeah.
it was nice in a sense. So, I would have to ask him exactly, or we could look at the date on it in a sense too, on that. But it was not the winter time; it was spring or summer.
Right.
But that footage is crazy because you can see it clear. And even when I filmed it with my phone and then just went through frame by frame as he walks through, and there's some more of it before I even started filming where he walks. There's like a 15-foot looking brown boulder. And then there's like I don't know, 8 or 10 foot, like dark gray boulder that's like kind of like pyramid shape. And at first he's like walks over from left to right. And then he's kind of like stands by the boulder that's dark. And he's actually a little bit taller than the boulder. Then he's like hunched down. And it looks like the boulder has like 2 points on it, but the one's his head. And then it's like he's looking back towards shore where the people are. And he just like cuts back from right to left, right in between them. And as he does, right at the last second, he's looking back over his shoulder to the left, and it happens to focus like on his forehead, and you can see the face, and it's kind of wild. But yeah, the ridge.
See, that's I couldn't see that with the copy you sent me. So that's probably why. It's just the video of a video.
Yeah,
There's no telling what.
Filming a TV screen, it definitely makes it a little messed up. But
Yeah.
so it's like a 20-minute home video on a DVD. So I don't even know how you send a copy of that unless you actually copy it. But I guess, I don't know, we have to try to download it to the computer in a sense. And then,
Yeah, probably so. You probably have to. I don't know exactly how you'd have to do it. He wouldn't have to send the entire thing, just the whatever it is, minute or whatever of just the event. But I honestly don't know how to take a DVD and put it on your computer and then send it. It's been so. I didn't get into computers until like 7 years ago when all this stuff started happening around here. So I missed the whole computer and DVD era. I missed that completely.
Dude, yeah, I don't have much background in computer and video editing or nothing either, so it makes it tough. Some people are real good at it though. I love watching people take the videos and then I'm like, all right, zoom in and can you do motion tracking? And you watch them do it, and it's like, oh yeah, there we go. But
well, don't feel bad. I remember the first time, like in the very beginning when I started doing this, I had to send a GoPro video that I had taken to another researcher to go through because I didn't know how to do any of it. All I knew how to do was to email it to him. I didn't know how to bring it up and put it on the computer and go through it and all that. And turns out whatever I sent him, there was nothing in the video. It was something else, you know. And I just had to just got to learn, you know. Started from scratch and then had to learn all that stuff.
Yeah, it's a hard learning curve to apply yourself and figure out how to operate the editing materials and stuff. I know that.
Well, yeah, it's taking me time. You know, I look back at videos I did 3 years ago, and then where I'm at today, it's definitely night and day on what I picked up on editing and stuff like that when I do my videos.
You can look at some of my earlier videos, and with the iPhone, you bring up the video function, and I didn't realize that like when I hit play or record, that it's already zoomed in. Its default is it's already zoomed in a little bit. So all my videos are like they're way too zoomed in. I didn't even know that you could zoom out when I started doing that, you know. So it's some of my old videos are horrible, you know. But anyway, yeah, what else you got, Dustin? Is that pretty much it, or?
Well, I was thinking them bluffs in Florida. If you look them up, I believe they're called the Alum Bluffs. It's a pretty neat place to go. But I really like to get together sometime. We'll have to plan that out and go
Yeah.
set some cameras, let them sit, check them, let them sit, check them. You know, we'll get some footage. But other than that,
Well, I'll work around. You know, we'll get together, and you know, I get 4 weeks of vacation a year, but like right now, my off days are unfortunately went back to Thursday, Friday, but with enough time out, I can put in and get a weekend off. So, you know, you just pick a good time for you, and then I'll put in, and we can go from there. If it's just a day, I know I mentioned.
that's all it takes to set the cameras. You just go out there and you go and you hike in there and you set up and get a good setup and go set some more and look around and get out of there and try to be like, you know, as low pro as you can, not disturb as much as you can. In my opinion, I like to go scent free as I can and whatnot and just get in, get out, and then let it sit, you know. And then they're going to be curious. They're going to come around. They're going to catch us like out there. They're going to sense us, and then they're going to want to come and try and see what the heck we were doing. That's usually what would happen with me. But I mean, it'll probably happen again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
we'll
think
set it up, man.
we should tell everybody how they can go and see all the footage we were talking about.
Tell them.
Yeah, feel free to tell them anywhere they can go to see some of this stuff that you've been talking about.
So there's a few platforms for sure, like YouTube. And so I guess I got a YouTube channel. It's got 3 videos, 2 trail camera videos, and then the one from Niagara Falls that my brother, he let me post like an 8-second clip of it where I filmed the screen. But you just literally go like, let's see here, to my name right there. That's it. Dustin Teudhope. And then that's it. You gotta, that's the name of my channel. Some other videos
Well,
with me in them.
what I'll do is when this is done, of course it's live. This will already be up, but if everybody will give me a minute or give me a little bit, I got your channel, your Facebook channel, and whatever videos you got in other places.
Let's see
I
if we
will
can see this.
post the links.
I don't know if
I'll
that-
post all the links to that in
Hard to
the
see.
comment section, so
That's
people
what
can go directly to it.
my YouTube looks like. It's just my name. All right. Now it's me and
Yeah.
my wife standing on the bluffs at that Garden of Eden trail, but you can't really see it. And we took the picture with a tripod, but there's a railing there. That's all the way in at the where the trail turns and comes back. But that's the YouTube. It's just my name. And then it's got, if I hold it up, the footage is like 3 videos. And there's the last one I just posted. And that's
Right.
it. And then other than that, like you said with the Facebook, I got this Facebook page with the stories I wrote about, and that's just the title like I come up with true story. I found Bigfoot, and that's what it looks like. And if you put true story, I found Bigfoot in Facebook, and then these posts like we're talking about, like this is, you want to see the footage of the one in the background at Niagara Falls. It's right on there, and it goes in between them boulders. Like you can see it right there, walking in between there.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody else can see it. And then, but that's got like, I don't know. I think I made one post on there from the conference. But before that, it was a couple years before that, I guess. Yeah, there's one post with us being at the conference. And then it's like the rest of the posts are just, from 2020. So I hadn't made a post in like 5 years on there.
No.
But it's got like trailers about my story. And then it's got links to other footage and stuff. That's where I had those books. So anybody goes to True Story I Found Bigfoot Facebook page, you can see this is the news story News Channel 13 put out. That was pretty cool. They actually did a motion tracking video of my trail camera footage, and everybody could see it. And they did a story me cutting. I gave them all kinds of video from the woods. and I was cutting out a footprint there, and they were showing me filming with some tree stand structures. Oh, here's the one that crawls backwards. It's on the True Story I Found Bigfoot page, but it's on the side of the video. And it's, I don't know, just holding my phone up to the screen, that's really going to be tough to see. But you might see it. And that's the one that crawls backwards along the river.
Yeah,
But
if you move your phone to the left a little bit, a little more.
yeah, I don't know. I can't really see. I'm
There you
trying.
go, right there. Stop right there.
All right, let me try to hold it steady. And then he should crawl backwards. I'm just, I guess, holding it there. I don't know if the video is going to
Yeah,
play.
it's not gonna. People are gonna be like, "What are they doing?"
All right. I just hit play on it. But that's the one you were talking about where it crawls backwards. I know, and I wish it
Yeah,
would just.
it's over to the left. You can't really see it just
Yeah.
because of how you've got it held up. But there it goes.
And then the light's
You
shining
can
on
kind
it.
of see it.
But if you go to the page and click on it, you can I can turn around and look at it plain as day. I know it stinks looking at it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make sure we'll put up links. Because people sometimes are lazy; they don't want to go look things up. So I'll put links in the comments to go directly to that stuff.
Yeah, like that. True Story I Found Bigfoot Facebook page. And then you'll see a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I know you've
Right,
been. Looks like you kind of took a break there for a little while, but I think you need to get back to it because you're getting a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got my brother, he's pushing me now. And I'm like, I want to show the world. I get my baby just turned 4 yesterday, and I don't know. While my wife was pregnant and stuff, I did take a break, and that's pretty much when I just
Yeah,
focused on trying to get my family going and just out
I hear
working,
you.
But we're trying to get to the point where we want to show the world and get all this footage all together and whatever, do a documentary on TV and break it down where actually we can take all the original footage and look at it and talk about it and do slow motion and break it down frame by frame, like you were saying, and listen to the audio recordings and I mean, and show everybody that the truth is they're really out
Well,
there.
I guarantee what few people actually watch our podcast. You'll probably have some more people contacting you, and then also, we know people with bigger platforms, way bigger than ours. Like him and I've been doing this for like 7 years. On the Sasquatch Encounter Brigade was just me, my team, and all the stuff I experienced here, and the places we go, and all that good stuff. But we just started this one. But we know people with very large platforms, and I have no doubt that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to talk to you. So hopefully we can do that because, like I said, man,
I'll
you
talk
got a lot of good
anybody.
stuff, and I think you got something, a really good opportunity.
Well, thank you. And and I'd like to get together, like you said, work together, and I like to share it with everyone, honestly, and answer any questions people have. And as long as I've seen a lot of people, that haven't believed in Bigfoot, and then they look at the videos we're talking about, and then all of a sudden, and then they see it, and then they just can't unsee it. And once they see it, and then I watch them go from believing, this isn't real, and then they see it, and they're like, that's really real. And then you see that aha in their eyes, and then they never can unsee it. And it's like the good outweighs the bad when you get good feedback and you actually change people's lives with knowing the truth instead of
Right.
dealing with the people that just want to be haters. It's funny and think about it. But no, I'm in it for the long run, to tell you the truth. Even if I took a break, like you said, everybody knows me. They're, hey, Bigfoot, and I'm like, what's up? Like, it's funny, but that's just around here and wherever I go. But even in my family, half my family don't believe me. And ain't that
I get the same thing, dude. I tell you, one of the best feelings I ever had is, my wife. Now she believes me, and now she points out things that happen and all that stuff. But at the beginning, she wasn't so sure. Well, one time, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were over here, and I was at work, and they were eating dinner with my wife, and my wife calls me at work and says, "Hey, my brother just left about 10 minutes ago, and he just called me and told me my brother-in-law and sister-in-law both drove their own cars over here. Well, he left before her." And apparently, while he's going down the road, he calls my wife and says, "Hey, uh, I don't know what's in your woods, but it's really big and it followed me down the driveway." And I was like, "See, I told you. I told you." It was a really good feeling to have,
Yeah,
other people experience it and
for
say, "Yeah,
sure.
I understand what's going on."
I can remember plain as day when you walked up to me at the conference, and like you said, you followed me back there, and you're like, "Hey, listen to this," or and I showed you the video, but you're not listen to this. This thing growls at my dog and stomps. I'm like, yeah, and I heard it. I'm like, all right. I'm like, that sounds like the same thing, but like, like a one syllable noise, but then a stomp. I'm like, that sounds just like what it's in the audio recording I got. I don't know if we could pull that up to let people listen to before we go or not, but I believe that they would like to hear that. I know we told them where they can go see it, but just being
Um,
live.
I can't on my end because Richard's running it. Richard, can you screen share? It looks like he's been hopping in and out though. I don't know that
I see
he's
that.
you
But
there,
it's
Richard?
I have no idea what's going on. I couldn't get in. I couldn't do anything. A couple times I'm the only one there, and I'm like, you know, I think it's StreamYard because my signal's great, and
But like the recording you got, Johnny, where the one growls and it's like, "Roof." It's like the
Yeah.
same exact same sound of the animals like I got recorded. And I mean, yeah, it's just up and down the mountains, I guess,
No.
in a sense, in the
Yeah.
rivers and everywhere else in the wilderness. But
Yeah, these things are all over the place.
it sounded the same to me. And I don't. Can you pull up that email with the audio footage at all, Richard?
no, no,
That's all
not
right.
yet. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at this, but
It's all right.
Well,
I'm so
I kind
busy.
of I kind he got the raw end of the deal is I was running because I've ran this before on my own channel and I knew kind of what I was doing, but my internet just sucks. So every time I did it, we were having problems. So then Richard had to learn how to do it, and now it's apparently still sucks. So
Trying to see, is there
we're
any
still
way
trying to figure it out.
you're in
You,
the show
if you want to pull it up on your end on your phone and put it
on
up
my
to the microphone.
phone? Yeah. Is there any way I could I'm trying to look at the bottom here in the studio. If I could just pull it out of my computer, it would be better, but I don't know how that would work, where I would go exactly. Do y'all? Let's
Well, I
see.
know Richard has the ability to screen share on
Okay.
his end because he's running it, but I don't
Mine.
think you and I actually have
All right.
the ability to do that.
All right. Well, yeah, it wouldn't be that loud just coming out of my phone, I don't think. I don't know. It might be if I turn it up, but we can try that. I got it pulled up here on my YouTube, anyways. Let's see here. I'll turn it up all the way. All right, audio. Let me see here. So I got to add first thing, of course. It's just sounding really low. Not sure where the microphone would be. Let me see here. This is what the video looks like from the trail camera, but I don't know can you guys hear that at all right away?
Yeah, it's probably not going to work doing it like this.
I don't think so.
But I can, what I will do though is I can put a video together with that recording and maybe some of your footage and then post it up on our channel.
Heck yeah. Well, that'd
So,
be cool.
yeah, I'll
Well,
do
you're
that.
a lot
I
of
make a
people going
quick one.
on.
What's that?
I said you're definitely going to have a lot of people tonight checking it out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's got a lot
You'll
of
see a
stuff
lot
people
of
are
you.
gonna
But if you
want
go
to check out.
listen to the audio footage on that YouTube channel with my name, like we were talking about, put your headphones on, cancel out all the other noise around you, and focus on it. There's going to be an internal running noise with the stealth cam. It's just like almost sounds like a helicopter, but it's just the camera kind of clicking. But if you listen to the animals breathing and growling, you'll hear them good. And like the video's a minute and a half. At a minute and like 12 seconds into the video, you'll hear one like whack and knock a tree loud in the distance. And about a minute in, you hear the one close to the camera breaking some sticks and does a little tree knock real quick, and they start grunting, and you hear them breathing. It's pretty wild. But listen to it with the
Well,
headphones, or you hear it a
when
lot better.
I get some time, I'm working on the second part of the docu series I'm doing. But as soon as I'm done with that, what I'll do is I'll put that in the audio program in Audacity and see if I can't amplify and clean it up and maybe
Right
pinpoint
on.
a few things in there for you. So
Heck yeah, yeah, no,
yeah,
that's the type of stuff. That's real. That's 100% real as it gets. Like,
yeah,
you want to hear Bigfoot and listen to more than one communicating, there you go. And I've sat there and listened to everything on the different shows, and you hear a couple different grunts or a couple different things back and forth, but it's usually just a matter of like 2 seconds or a few seconds. I mean, that's a minute and a half of them. You can hear them the whole time. So I just think it's pretty interesting to sit there and listen to it.
yeah. Cool stuff, man. I'm
Yeah,
glad we had you on.
yeah, this has been a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I think you're gonna be doing this again with
Hey,
a couple of people. I
we'll
promise you.
do it
It's
again.
good practice.
Yeah, my work schedule's pretty heavy right now, and during the weekends, we're the busiest. But
Yeah.
we'll get together. I really want to go out and set some cameras. We need to plan that out, so then we can come back with some more raw footage. I like getting the new footage. That's fun to look at.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, I got
addiction.
I got some pretty good equipment too. I've got
Cool.
a really nice parabolic microphone.
So how?
Uh,
I haven't
Go
never
ahead.
used one of those. That would be pretty neat. Yeah, but
yeah, they're
Richard,
nice.
how far South Florida you live, Richard? Come up around, meet us up there at the Apalachicola River.
I'm I'm south. I'm close to Lake Okeechobee.
That's pretty far down there.
Yeah.
That's I don't know how many hour trip, maybe 8 hours. How
Yeah.
far?
I want to assume 8 hours.
Probably about that, I guess. And
It's
how,
it's three. It's three for me to get to Ocala.
so it's another almost 5 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, it'll be about 4 in a sense. It's 5 hours from Ocala, or 4.5, 5 hours to my place in Panama City. So it'd be minus an hour back to the Apalachicola River there. So it'd be about 7 hours probably total. But it's worth it. I'm telling you, it's a good place to go to and go to camp and
Yeah.
fish too. We used to fish off the bridge right there, Florida River Bridge, just for the heck of it. But there's a lot of good fishing and hunting there.
Yeah. Well, cool guys. Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Again, really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I'll put some stuff in the description for your channels. Hopefully, get to your audio, work that out, and tell your wife. I briefly got to meet her. I thought it was funny because I brought up, hearing the stories now. Whenever I met Dustin and I was talking to him, one of the first things I said was, "Hey, dude, you ever take people out there?"
100%. I remember.
And then I was like, let's go out there at night. And her eyes got like this big.
Yeah,
She
like
wasn't
she
real
looked
happy
at me
about
like,
that.
she's like, yeah, well, yeah, oh no, she don't like the idea of that at all.
Yeah, she wasn't that happy about that one. And
no,
but now knowing all the stuff that she's been through and everything, it's totally understandable. But she was super nice. Your brother was too. So thoroughly enjoyed meeting all y'all.
Oh yeah,
I was like the opposite. When people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, I had this," and I'm like, "I don't want to hear it. I want you on the show because I want it to be new to me too. You know what I mean? I want to be enthralled in what you have to say and stuff like that. Where Johnny's like, "Yeah, tell me all about it. Let me hear." And I'm like, "I don't want to hear it yet. I want to wait till we're all there."
Yeah, Johnny, right away.
Dustin's the only one that I told you, man. As soon as I heard his story, I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go talk to him."
Yeah,
I just took off, left my
to go
kid
out
alone and everything.
Right away. Yeah, right away you wanted to go out there, and my wife is like, she's a little bit, leery of the whole deal right now because she just feels like there's such more powerful, stronger predator out there in their element, and she don't feel like we really stand a chance if they turn on us, which she's probably right, but I still feel like we're protected and they have fear of us too. So,
well, I tell you, the way I look at it, and we've talked about this before, actually on here before with other people, is I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing that you're going to be able to do to defend yourself. If one of these things decide that they're going to hurt you, it's
Pray.
over with. It's ridiculous to think that you're going to go in there and you're physically going to get the better of these creatures. It's not going to happen. But
No,
I've personally never had anything bad happen, and there's a
sure.
very big debate on whether they are violent.
Yeah.
You hear all these stories,
Well,
but the one thing that I've never seen is evidence of
yeah.
that.
Well, and the evidence,
So
in a sense. Okay, so this is one thing my wife wanted me to hit on. I asked her, anything you want me to talk about at all while we go on here and talk later, and she just wanted me to say something about people going missing. Don't go by yourself, because anytime anybody gets off on their own, that's when they go missing. So she wanted me to bring that up because I mean, there's the evidence of something bad happened is all the missing people, and the missing people can't tell their stories because they're gone. And there's such a big wilderness, you may never be found. I mean, even your remains, even if you had a tracker on you or whatever. But and it's more with our kids. And I started watching this documentary you made, Johnny, and I didn't get to watch the whole thing yet, but I started seeing some similar stuff, and I heard some similar stuff right away with the audio recordings, and with the big giant like tree falls and stuff. I've had them break trees that big too, like bigger than telephone poles, and they were like hung up like horizontal, and other trees were like actually tied them up where they weren't even touching the ground, and it was like a horizontal markers like they do with regular tree breaks, but it was like big giant tree break behind my camera, almost like not wanting, almost like a territory line they were laying down behind my camera. It's like not wanting me to go back into that area anymore. Is how I seen it. I don't know, that's just my own theories. But with kids going out there and stuff, like she's fearful, my wife, our baby's going out there at all because just if anything would happen, and it say you can't, you say you're camping, for example, that's what I mean, and you're in the area, like at the campground. But like I'm saying, the main area is back in here. But if
right.
you're out there at the campground, you're still in the same vicinity. You're in the ballpark, and you could be like talking over here, fishing, your kids over here for 1 second, and something takes your kid, and they're gone.
Well, they move quick enough. If that's what they wanted to do,
So
there's nothing you could be able to do to stop it.
that's where the evidence of things happening. And if you look into all the missing 411 stuff, there's thousands and thousands of missing people, and that would just be the worst thing ever. Like in our family's eyes, any family to lose somebody, and it ain't like it's undocumented, like it's something that's never happened before. It's happened before, and there's other stories that are even worse. Like I don't know if either of y'all have heard the Land Between the Lakes story and all that, but there is documentation of stuff going wrong with these type of animals, and that's when they decide to turn. But then again, if you got to get the Lord in your heart and Jesus Christ your Savior, I don't think you need to worry. You just pray for protection, and we're going to have protection, and these things are going to leave us alone. And whether you want them to leave you alone or not, if you're trying to get footage or not, you do want them to leave you alone. That whether however you feel about it, or not you guys personally, but whoever may be watching, you don't want these things to confront you. I don't care. You want a
Yeah.
bluff charge or something weird. No, you don't want these things to be aggressive towards you. It's going to be bad. So you're right. There's not much you're going to do if it comes to that.
No,
Yeah, Von
no,
Duvon asked, does carrying a firearm affect the interactions? I personally don't think so. I go out a lot. Johnny goes out a lot. I don't know how often Johnny goes out armed. I go out armed every time,
Me too.
and
My
I
wife
still
won't let me
have,
go out unarmed. She's gonna be like, "No, what are you
yeah,
even thinking? Like you're gonna come back to your daughter and me like even, but even it actually, I say it became an argument or like between us after she realized they were really real with seeing real footage. I come back with one of my trail cameras that like I set personally, and she's seen the whole process go down to the point where she got her dad involved and my father-in-law, ex-military, and he's like, "Listen, you're not gonna." And this is before we even had our baby. He's like, "You're not gonna leave your wife widowed, are you? Is that what you plan on doing? You got life insurance?" I'm like, "Okay, I got a life insurance policy in there. It'll cover me." But he's like, "That's not the point. Just don't go by yourself." And then I agreed with him and her, and it just slowed me way down because everything I
yeah,
was doing prior was pretty much 90% of the time by myself. And I
no.
made the agreement, and I was like, I've seen what I wanted to see myself, so I was just I came to a point where I was okay with it, but at the same time, I still want to move forward. It's just going to be a different pace
Yeah.
and different parameters and whatnot.
Yeah, I go out a lot by myself. Johnny goes out a lot by himself. And, if I had to wait on others to just go out in the woods,
It's
I'd never
hard.
get out there.
It's
I'd
so
never
hard
get
to
out there.
collaborate and get everybody
Yeah.
I'd never
together.
get out there.
Unless that's the only
So,
thing you're doing. But who has type of time to where y'all can just do that all? It's one of
right.
those things we all
Well,
got to get ahead.
that's the main reason why they haven't been proven yet. Is because nobody has the time and the money to
Yeah, even
spend what you
Expedition
need to.
Bigfoot crew has a hard time. They're spending their own money going out, and they're taking their time to go do it all together. But it's, not like they're even getting paid very much at all. They're setting out on a
No.
mission just to make it happen, and there's a handful of them, and yeah, and then that's
Well,
about it.
I definitely know what self-funding feels like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Yeah, it gets expensive for sure.
yeah, and when you got to focus on feeding your family and stuff, you kind of fall away from trying to prove stuff to people.
No.
Yeah. Well, it becomes a hobby. It really is because it's not paying the bills. You know what I mean? And that's what I tell people. It doesn't pay the bills. I get out as often as I can, and this year's been really rough on me getting out, but it looks like it's getting better. But it doesn't pay the bills, so it's a hobby. It's something I'm out there doing and trying to, do what you're doing is bring it out to the forefront and share what I can share.
Right. What about this? I was going to ask you guys before we go. Are you going to try to make it to the Great Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference in Gatlinburg? I think it's the end of
No,
July.
I don't have to go to that one. No, I only get 5 days off a year, so I got to plan them very specifically. So
Sure.
Yeah, I
I
didn't know
won't go.
anything about it, but I could look into it.
So
You
it's
said
the
it's
end
the
of
end of
July.
July.
It's a Saturday, like probably last Saturday in July, I believe. Can't remember the
Y'all
exact
have a booth?
date. No, not yet.
No.
So I'm not gonna get a booth unless I can be a speaker. I applied to be a speaker and they haven't got back to me yet, so it's kind of up in the air. They said they'll get back to me, I emailed the application.
Is
So,
the same company running it?
yep,
yeah, it's Gather Up Events.
yep.
It's Marty and his wife. Yeah,
So if they'll have me as a speaker, I told them I'd do it for free just to go show people. I want to show people all the evidence we talked about and get on the big screen with it because then everybody would see it really good on a giant screen like that. And we'll just see how it goes. If they say, yeah, come on, then I'm going. That's for sure. But
Well, good luck. I hope they'll have you.
yeah, it'd be nice. I hope so. It was a fun time. I mean, like you said, first conference I ever been to, that was just a good time.
Yeah.
yep. First one you've been to, and you're being thrown off stage.
Yeah, that was totally just not planned, and it was turned out really cool. I'm glad you pulled your phone out, Johnny. That was neat because
Dude, I told you, I'm Christian too. I'm not a Bible thumper or a finger wagger, but I am Christian. It is just something for whatever reason. I just
Something
felt
told
like I needed to do it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's why when I was messaging you after we left, I'm like, dude, I don't know why I did that. I didn't have a plan to do it. I didn't.
I thought it was
kind of
awesome.
felt like it was
afterwards.
something I needed to do, So, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, because then I mean, I got recorded telling my story. I've told that story lots of times throughout my life, but to smaller groups of people or my friends and stuff, and just to have it recorded like that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Because that's just one of them things. It just happened the way it
You know,
happened.
I mean, that's a fairly decent video and a lot of information, but maybe you could just sit down on your own and tell your story, record yourself telling the entire story, and then put it up on YouTube. I mean, you already got the channel.
Yeah, that would be hard for me. I'm glad you recorded it with me just telling it to other people like that. It's hard for me to just tell it to the computer or something like that. But I did tell the story and pretty much all the same details, like I said, and I wrote it all down in Christian Faith Publishing, published it, and that's the story. And there's a trail camera frames from the video and a couple of deer that were coming through looking for there's a mama and a baby looking for the other baby. One of the babies got taken out, and they circled back through like 6 times by noon after they carried the other one out of there, I guess. And it's all documented, and I'm just so glad that Christian Faith Publishing like decided to partner with me and publish this story and keep it going. But that was a wild deal too.
Well, that in itself is a pretty cool accomplishment, man. Because
It's yeah, and it was, I don't know. They said it first, but it's almost like divine intervention. It's one of those things. I'm just blessed to like have the experience or have the recording happen like that in front of my camera. But so they're based out of Meadville, Pennsylvania, and I was born in Meadville Medical Center, and in Pennsylvania. And this, I mean, company came and built themselves there, found themselves in Meadville after I moved out, and all this happened in Florida. And then I contacted them just because I seen a commercial, like, "Are you a Christian author?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I wrote the number down, called them. So we'll send you a packet in the mail and review your manuscript. You know, that's how they do. And I'm like, and then I seen the address and the zip code, and I called them back and I said, I was born right there. Like, I don't know. I just feel it's a unique point to just let you know. And they're like, "Wow, really? What's your story again?" And so then I was telling them the story, and they're like, "You know what? You being local, like, we think that we want to hear your story now to see if we could publish a local story with the company." I'm like, "Well, I mean, I live in Florida now, but I was born there." And they're like, "Yeah." So they had me email them it. And then within a week, they read it and decided, "Yeah, we want to move forward." And I was like, "Awesome. This is great." But they said, "We think this is like a divine intervention," is what they told me. Because why would you be born here? And then we built the company here. And then you're coming to us with this story. It's like, we believe it. That's your true story. And I'm like, "Well, it is." And I just gave them the videos, and they recorded the videos, and we took frame shots from the video and tried to put it in the book. And it's got frame by frame where this animal's coming through on all fours and then springs up right. And you can see it on 2 feet. In one frame, it holds its hand out towards the camera. It's got a white palm with 5 fingers like a thumb. And that's the history of it, I guess. But
awesome, man.
yeah, it is really awesome. Thanks. I give all the praise and honor to God. It's just, and I write in the first page of the book, I mean, because not everybody has a story like that. And it's the truth. It just happened like that. So,
Well, that's the way. That's kind of with it being around my property and stuff.
they're right out your back
Feels
door,
feels
man.
like a gift. I almost feel like
Yeah, the
I
presence
started to feel obligated. I started to feel obligated
to tell people, maybe,
because it was such a profound thing to be able to experience and to see, and then it's like having the opportunity of a lifetime. You know, like my own
you saying that.
my own science lab. You know what I'm saying?
I thought that when I was looking at your video with the documentary you're doing, and I seen your map in the background of your room, and I was like, "That's his house," and that's you could hear it outside there, like, and that was it. And I'm like, and he told us that when he first met us. I'm like, that's happening right there. But honestly, there's thousands and thousands of people have activity going on outside their house probably, and they may not realize it and stuff.
No,
And
yeah.
you live in
We
the
don't.
country or you live on the edge of it, it's coming around in the middle of the night and your dogs are barking and stuff. They're barking for a reason. And it's not always deer out there. Like I thought that one time at my relative's place, but it is going on. And it's one of them things that needs more exposure, really. People to believe and understand.
Well, if you're right, which I don't know if you're right or not, and your wife is right, and I understand how y'all feel, but if y'all are right about the missing persons and all that stuff, I think people, regardless of that, even if they're not doing any of that, I don't like the fact that people I don't even know decided a long time ago that I wasn't allowed to know what was in my own world.
Exactly.
That's not for you to decide. I don't care why you're hiding it. It's not your.
And why though? That's right. Why? Who are they trying to protect? But I honestly think they're trying to protect like a past and a history that exposes them more. And I say that, and that's hard to understand, but like it just stems from ancient times, like and what was going on, how the world was being corrupt, and like and just the stuff that like Enoch recorded, if you ever listened to his book at all and looked into it. And I mean, there was beings that come down, fallen angels, whatever you want to call them. They come from the heavens, and they pretty much dominated the world and created races of giants to have as their slaves. And you know, not to say that these are the things that are still out there, but they also corrupt the rest of the world, the beasts of the earth and everything. So they did the same thing with these things, and there's still some out there. And I don't understand why they cover up all the big bones and stuff that were in all the mounds and whatnot, like through the Appalachian Mountains. I mean, there's Indian burial mounds from Pensacola, Florida, all the way up past New York. And the Smithsonian had lots of big bones and whatnot. And it's just, I don't even like to talk about it. I don't know, because they wanted to cover it up and get rid of them. And why? Because there is a sinister past that they don't want people to believe in, I believe. That's the only reasoning I can come up with. But still, why to this day is it hidden if they know the truth? I feel like it all should be declassified. And I know there's been bodies. People always ask me, well, how come there has never been a body if it's real? But no, there has. There's lots of cases, and then they come and get confiscated by like whatever mysterious people in black SUVs. So, and then where they take them, I don't know. But you know, they're keeping a record of it. So
Yeah, I fully believe, and I've gone back and forth on this, but I fully believe while you and I are running around out here trying to get just a few seconds of video, they probably have one in the cage somewhere. They've probably studied every aspect of them. They've probably got it.
you know, and
from
I kind of agree with you, but not alive. I feel like they just have the bodies. I don't think you could cage one of these things. I feel like the process would be almost impossible, and they would either kill themselves in the cage trying to get out, or they're going to tear it down, whatever it is. They're just too strong.
I sure would love to know though.
Everybody just wants to see it. That's the thing.
And I'm going to put this out there. If there's any government agencies out there listening right now, and you want to tell me all the secrets, I'll quit talking about Bigfoot if you just show me one. I promise I'll shut up tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll sell out. I'll sell out 100%.
We're not trying to expose anybody either, but we just want to know the truth. Right?
Yep. All right, man. Well, you got anything, Richard?
No, I'm good, man. It was an exciting show. It's a lot of fun. I've been watching the chat, a lot of questions and stuff. Great conversation going on in the chat room. Yeah, fantastic. I know it was a little different. We had to change it up and do this on a Thursday at an earlier time, but that was when we could get Dustin. That was it. So that's
planned on
that's what we
Friday.
got to do.
We had someone get fired. Now I got to cover through. It's bike week, Thunder Beach and the beach. I was going to be off, around 5 on Friday, but now I got to work a double. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys could come on early, because I was like, then I don't know when. Our schedule comes out every Saturday for the next week.
Yeah.
And I got full availability, and I'm a lead for them. So I let them schedule me and then schedule everybody else around me that can work when they can work, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
But that's life, I'm so glad that you guys was like, all right, let's do it day ahead of time.
Which is actually, believe it or not, man, it's pretty rare. Me and Richard have a hard time getting our schedules lined up. I mean, you got just like everybody else. Everybody's got a life, but
yeah,
it worked out good today, so I'm glad.
For sure, 100%.
Hey, man. All right, well, Dustin, it's good talking to you, man, and
likewise, guys.
I definitely want to keep in touch, and we got some plans to make, so we'll definitely do that. Tell your wife we said hello and thank you for.
All right, yeah, I will. They left me home alone because whenever I'm here with my babies, the neighbors come with a couple girls across the street, and they'll come in at any time, start playing, running. Like, we got to go downtown. Let's go have some fun and shop. And I'm like, all right. So just so we could have some peace and quiet.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, I'll let them know. I told them we'll watch it on the show on TV, because we'll pull up YouTube and then cast it to the TV and watch it. So actually, my baby, she's ready. She's like, I want to see Talk later. All right. I told her, you'll see me when you get back then.
Well, that's good. Good.
Oh, this just fell over. So I just wanted to put this up here one time. But this is a follow-up. This is a follow-up to my first book. And it's got my theories, and it's got my just methods of setting trail cameras and what I believe these things really are, and I try to prove it. But I wrote it 2 years after the first one. Christian Faith Publishing just kept it going for me. It picks up where the first one leaves off. And I know it's got a long title, but I'll put it up here real quick. But I call them Beware Gorillas because they look like a bear and a gorilla. And I want people to beware. And my friends think they look like werewolves. And I'm just like, they look like all of that. Yeah, they all fit the same description. It's weird, ain't it? You know, but there is different, I don't know, variances, I'd say, around the world and different cryptids and stuff. But anyways, thanks a lot, y'all. Appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
No, we
We'll talk to you again
man.
later on.
Oh, let me show you this too. I'll leave out with this. Here's a Bigfoot cast. That's the heel. And this is from the same location. Here's the big toe. But I seen the heel indention first in the woods in the area. And then we poured it flat and just pulled out some leaves. And then it did leave a big toe mark. But same spot. Same deal. Same
Awesome,
group
man.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. Just keep doing it.
Yeah,
You
all
know?
right. Yes, sir. Well,
Good to go.
And,
All right, Dustin.
really
We
glad to
appreciate
meet
it,
y'all.
man. Richard.
All right. I'm gonna pop these
Good to
off.
go.
We'll talk
Yeah.
to y'all again sometime soon.
Yeah.
All
Have a
right,
good one.
listen. You know, drop the bag. That was a good show. Good guy. Good
Oh
guy.
yeah, definitely enjoyed that.
Yeah, he was a really
When's
nice guy
our
at the conference, and his family was real sweet. Everybody was nice.
yeah? When's our next one?
Well, we slipped this one in. Let's tell everybody. Let's look at the calendar. Actually, next week we got Brian Darcy on the 9th. Then we have a bye week where we don't have to do anything, and then we have Scott Post coming up on the 23rd. And then we get into June, and in June we have Troy Palmer and Desi. We have John Stewart, but we do have room in there to fit somebody in if somebody wants to jump in on June, and then we'll start scheduling for July. So, lot coming up. Lot coming up.
Excellent. All right,
Yeah,
bud.
absolutely.
Well, hopefully, you know, uh, hopefully I can get down there with Dustin. And I know it's 8 hours, but it might be worth it. Might be worth it for you to come out there with us.
Maybe it's just 8 hours in a car. I hate that.
Yeah, I know. I know it is. It's a pain, but like I said, I'm about to go down there in the same exact area in June anyway. So what I might wind up doing, even if he can't get together, is just go look at the area in general,
Right.
especially the the nature preserve he was talking about. That sounds like an
Oh yeah.
awesome day trip. So
Oh yeah. Preserves are always
anyway,
good. Always good.
yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time. And Richard, I will talk to you
Absolutely.
later, bud.
All right, buddy. Thanks
All right.
everybody for showing up tonight for short notice. I appreciate you. We love every one of you guys, and we will see you next Friday at 8. So take care. God bless, and have a fantastic weekend.